By dawn, the rain had washed the night clean, but not their guilt. Adana avoided Kenechukwu all morning. Her hands trembled as she folded her husband's clothes, as if touching them could erase what she had done. Kenneth tried to speak, but she wouldn't listen. The air between them was now too loud with memory. That afternoon, Chijioke called again. He said, "Prepare something special for dinner. I'm coming home tonight." Her heart dropped. Kenechukwu's face went pale. They both knew the walls were closing in. Chijioke arrived just after sunset. He walked in smiling, tired, arms open wide. He hugged his wife. She stiffened. He didn't notice. He turned to Kenechukwu, pulled him in for a brotherly embrace. "It's good to have you home," he said. "The house feels alive again." Adana felt her throat tighten. Alive, yes, too alive, with ghosts of what they had done hiding behind every look. At dinner, everything was too quiet. Chijioke asked questions. Kenneth gave short answers. Adana barely ate. But what neither of them knew was that the silence was being watched. The housekeeper, old Mama Ngozi, had seen more than they realized. She had seen them that night through the kitchen window when the candlelight kissed their shadows. She had told no one. Yet. Days passed. Kenechukwu started avoiding the house. Adana tried to pray, but guilt has its own kind of noise. One night, as she knelt beside her bed, she whispered, "God, forgive me." From the doorway came a voice. "Forgive you for what?" It was Chijioke. He stood there, half in the light, half in the dark. Her breath caught. "I heard you crying last night," he said slowly. "Tell me the truth." But she couldn't, so she lied. A few days later, Chijioke left for work early, or so Adana thought. He returned quietly in the afternoon, stepping into the house unannounced. And that was the moment that changed everything. Through the open kitchen door, he saw his wife and Kenechukwu standing far too close. Not touching, not speaking, just looking at each other like silence was sacred. And that was enough. That night, Chijioke didn't come to bed. The next morning, he was gone. Left a note saying he went to the village for business. But he hadn't gone for business. He had gone for proof. He called Mama Ngozi. He asked questions. He bribed her gently, and she told him everything. Every word, every look, every night of rain. When he returned a week later, he was calm. Too calm. He brought gifts, perfumes, dresses, and a small box for Kenechukwu. Inside that box was a ring, their late mother's ring. "For your future wife," he said, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You will need it sooner than you think." Kenneth didn't understand. Adana froze. That night, she tried to speak to Kenechukwu, to tell him something felt wrong. But he was already packing. "I'm leaving tomorrow," he said. "This is tearing us apart." She wanted to stop him, but guilt strangled her words. The next morning, police sirens wailed down the street. Kenechukwu never made it to the airport. His car had crashed. Brakes failed. Instant death. Chijioke wept like a man possessed. Adana collapsed beside him, screaming. But deep inside, something didn't feel right. Because later that week, when she went to wash her husband's car, she noticed grease under the seat and a small metal part on the floor, a part that looked like something from a brake line. She stared at it for a long time. Then she looked up at her husband, standing on the balcony, watching her quietly. He smiled, a small, tired smile. "Some accidents are blessings in disguise," he said softly. Her knees almost gave way. That night, she packed her bag. But when she reached the door, he was waiting. Calm, cold. "Where will you go, Adana?" he asked. "You think anyone will believe you, that my brother died because of you?" He stepped closer, whispering, You were my wife first, and now you will live with me and with his ghost." Months passed. Adana moved through the house like a shadow. Her laughter was gone, her prayers empty. Until one evening, she received a letter, no return address. Inside was a photograph of Kenechukwu, alive, standing somewhere far away, smiling. And behind him was the same old car he was said to have died in. Her hands shook, her tears fell. She looked up and saw her husband staring at her from across the room, his face pale, eyes wide. He asked, "Who sent you that?" She didn't answer, because in that moment, she realized someone else was playing a game neither of them understood. Some loves burn, some destroy, and some never die at all.